Welcome to the World Heritage City. Getting back to my history exploring. Even though I've explored the city before, it feels different this time. Doing some different things. There's my exploring partner, the Malacca, little Malacca River. Yeah. So here's the lifeline of Malacca, the little skinny Malacca River. The reason why it was so important on the Malacca Straits. Ships coming from China and other parts of East Asia, Japan too actually, would sail through here on their way to India and Arabia and beyond in Europe and Africa. So they would come up in here, trade some of their goods on this little river, maybe stay a couple days. And little communities started popping up of all these different ethnicities from all over the world. And that's what makes Malacca Malacca. Malacca Straits. Probably 500 languages were spoken here at one point. 14, 15, 1600s. What a place it must have been. Started by this guy who escaped the Malacca pit in what is now Singapore. Started the Malacca Sultanate. Yeah. As you can see, over 600 years later, the Chinese connection is still strong. This is the Chinatown Street Junker Walk. And even the government of China, 50 years of relations, the Malaysian and Chinese flag up there. You're the dragon. Yeah. So 600 years, Chinese community. Zhongwen, Hongyo. Let's find out the history.
My car.
Say it.
Move it. Hey Ray, why is there a dragon here?
Because it's Long Nian, year of the dragon. Your year. This would have been a cool place to celebrate, actually.
Yeah, I said I wanted to come here.
Historic Malacca. All right, let's figure out Zheng He history now. Focus. Chinese community existed here throughout the Sultanate of Malacca times, Portuguese times, Dutch, British, into the country of Malaysia times. This was one of the main areas. All right, famous spot here for the story we're telling about. Zheng He first landed here in 1405. The first Chinese to come to Malacca was in 1403. The Sultan back there on that building established the city as he was fleeing Singapore. All right. 28,000 men and over 300 ships. Wow. Cool little museum here to Zheng He.
There were also water ships that only carried fresh water for the crew.
Alright, the history of China, the history of Malacca, the spot where Zheng He first landed, 1405. Nice little image of Empress Wu Zetian during the Han Dynasty. Yes, back in 2019, when I first saw this place, now 5 years later, 2024, and I saw this plaque, and I've told hundreds of my students about seeing this, where he landed. Let's tell the story of him, cool little shrine. So it was right here. The Sultan of Malacca, who was running from his enemies, the Malacca pit, used to be stationed up in Singapore, not far from here. Came down here, established his own little kingdom. first Chinese to come here was in 1403. It was a small kind of fishing village. Like the Sultan back there, he had some big enemies. The Siam, which is from Thailand, and Java, Majapahit. So during the time of the Ming Dynasty treasure fleet. Let's go look at some of those good model ships. People from China are having fun in the museum, talking about everything. It's so cool. Look at that one. I don't think it could have looked like that. Massive fleet. Whoa. That's the treasure fleet ships of Zheng He. They had 20,000 plus men, 300 plus ships. They were sent out by the Yongle Huangdi, emperor of the Ming Dynasty, to expand China's influence into the entire known world. So before here, they stopped off in Vietnam, Champa, well, several stops along the Chinese coast, Fujian and some other areas. And then what is now Vietnam, known as the Champa people, which was the Hindu. Zheng He was Muslim. And also eunuch. We'll explain how that happened in a second. But yes, it was here where they first landed in 1405. And this spot and this statue is always stuck with me. It's like, wow, that's so cool. They came here such a long time ago, 600 years, over 600 years. So they created an alliance, Zheng He and the treasure fleet with the Sultan of Malacca. And the alliance started to become very beneficial to both. 1405, the largest fleet this world has ever seen. Imagine this thing pulling up. Obviously, they didn't come into this small river, but probably took some, smaller boats to come in here and meet with the Sultan, which was a long-lasting relationship, Malacca and Ming China, which was an alliance. They attacked Malacca, then Ming would have their back. And there's several other places all throughout the Indian Ocean. Zheng He went after this, including Sri Lanka, Kochi, and Calicut, Kerala, India, where I was not that long ago. Into the Gulf of Aden and Persia, where Oman and Dubai and all that is now. Bahrain, down into, he was Muslim, so he went to Mecca, went all the way into the Red Sea, way over to East Africa, I think all the way down to Tanzania, Mogadishu, Somalia. 7 long voyages, all the way to 1433. Bringing tribute, bringing home animals like giraffes and treasures from around the world. Get into little skirmishes with pirates and different kingdoms that weren't exactly friendly. What a crazy life. Well, it started even pretty crazier. From humble beginnings in Yunnan, China, a Muslim Chinese. During the last days, the endings of the Yuan Mongol-led dynasty of China, he was captured from his homeland and made a eunuch, which is pretty rough. So that means as a boy, he got his testicles and penis removed, sliced off. So this happened a lot of times throughout history, but it also happened to this guy. And it was so that they could be like an advisor in the imperial court. And there would be no threat of these guys, eunuchs, to sleep with the princess or the queen or the different consorts that the emperor had. So that's why they did that. Put into this poor guy here. But he was still a strapping guy. Big, handsome, big, for the times, tough guy. And as the emperor of China shifted to the Ming Dynasty, he ended up being a eunuch in the court there. And he fought in some battles with the Ming Dynasty. He gained the trust of the Ming emperor. So, over those times, as a youth, and living in the palace, living in the capital, Nanjing, I believe it was at the time. Then it shifted to Beijing. Zheng He gained the trust of the imperial court so much that they tasked him with an incredible task to be the admiral of the treasure ships to sail and spread China's influence around the known world at the time, including here. And pretty cool. All right, so the place where I'm gonna go next is a Chinese cemetery now, built in the 1600s, but actually it was the original base that Zheng He set up. So in the museum, I swear they said he stopped by in Malacca like 13 or 30 times, going back and forth from his 7 voyages. I forget the exact number, but he made this as like one of his primary stops. You know, pit stop, get some food, get some provisions. It's a really cool historical story. There's a good museum right around the corner for this guy. People from China love learning about this guy. And people of Malacca like him too. You hear from Zheng He's voyages. Malacca here. Stopped by several times. At least 7 times, I think it said, or 10 times. So it was a compulsory stop. From Nanjing, they would go down the coast, visit Champa in Vietnam, went up to Thailand, then on the Siam, all around Sumatra, Java, over to Bangladesh before, 7 different voyages, over to Sri Lanka, all around here. I know I was right there not that long ago in India, Kochi, Calicut. Headed up there, Gulf of Aden, Persia, and what is now Dubai and Oman and all that. What's now Pakistan coast, looks like. All down the Arabian coast. He went to Mecca famously once, he's a Muslim. All down the East Africa coast, all the way to Kenya, I think. Tanzania, Mogadishu, Somalia, Maldives. Took a stop, nice. Yes, very cool. Imagine traveling in those days. The Ming Emperor changed 3 times during the life of him. Malaysia, China Friendship Botanical Square with one of the treasure ships. But it was the Yongle Huangdi of the Ming Dynasty, the one who shifted the capital to Beijing, built the, Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City and all that stuff in Beijing that still exists now. That was the one who originally gave him his blessings. The last emperor that was under his reign let him go on one more final voyage, 7th voyage out to out to the west. I see lots of tourists from China come here, and there's an exhibition. Malaysia flags, Silk Road exhibition, and Zheng He for sure. International Zheng He Research Academy right here, right on the spot where he once was. And crazily, after all this expenditure, making all these alliances all around the Indian Ocean, all the way to Arabia and Africa and Southeast Asia, Java and Sumatra, and here, India, Sri Lanka, the later Ming Dynasty wanted to end any foreign influence and closed off China and shut down the treasure ship system. And unknowingly, this opened the door, well, one, for Malacca to get attacked, and no one came to their aid. And then 2 for Malacca and all of Asia, and really the whole world, to be opened up to European colonization, which is the next part of Malacca history. After the Chinese history here in Zheng He, the Portuguese came in here 1511, but for around 100 years, a little over 100 years, Malacca, with the backing of the Chinese, led by Zheng He's treasure ships, fleet that stopped here many times. They had a powerful thing going. Everyone had to pay a tribute tax to sail through here, wanted to do trading. And it was a society of hundreds of different ethnicities. Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, Persian, Indian, Gujarati, Malay, probably some Europeans even in the early times of Malacca. And also, later on in this friendship, the princess of the Chinese emperor came here and married the Sultan as an agreement for the alliance, the daughter of the Chinese emperor. And he sent her here with a bunch of artisans, and they moved in where Zheng He's old base was, on that Bukit China hill, where there's now a graveyard that we're going to look at. I didn't know it at the time when I went there. I already filmed that part. That was his original base. They had a Chinese, the first community of Chinese in anywhere in Malaysia. And it all started right here, where Zheng He first landed 1405. Very cool. To say Zheng He died in Calicut, India, what is now Kerala, in 1433. And also, I forgot to say, one time Zheng He came down here, stopped here in one of his compulsory stops, and brought the Sultan of Malacca back to Beijing, to the capital. Very cool. Lots of people from China stop at this spot. That's the story. Now let's go check out some other stuff. Got a great museum here in Malacca about his life. Just walk around there. Let's check this out. Stone that says Malacca is an independent country with the backing of the Ming, Chinese, and Zheng He. The great southwestern seas connect to China, uniting millions of people. Abundance shines like the sun and moon over the land of stone mountains and thick jungle. With glimmering treasures of gold, green and red, this country is rich in culture. Be it now time to recall the goodwill of the great emperor, traditions be followed, but yes, it proclaims Malacca here as its own country and our ally and all this stuff. Very cool museum. Very interesting guy, Admiral Zheng He, one of my favorite people in Chinese history. Let's tell a story. Zheng He Museum. Zheng He's most famous stories. So he brought exotic animals back from his travels to China, like a zebra. The most famous was a giraffe, Chongjinglu, who the Chinese, when they saw it, thought it was a magical creature. And it lived out his life in the palace, in this beautiful garden that the emperor made for it. And everyone saw it and they were amazed when they brought it back. Cool story from his travels. Oh, Mahjong.
And this game, what we play in America, I forget this name.
Pipa. Yeah. Checkers, chess.
No, this one.
Oh, I remember that one, yes.
I play as kids. I forget what it's called. Malacca? It's not what it's called, something like that. I forget.
And a well built by Zheng He. Little Chinese coins like that. Pieces of Sumeric art. treasure ship. That's a good picture. Kept over the years
Beautiful condition.
by the people that live in here, locals, they said. They were dropped off here during the Ming treasure fleet times. But just imagine seeing this off your coast, like back in those days. Like, what would you be thinking? Who are these people? Massive ships. Crazy. Zheng He's coming. One time, on one of Zheng He's main stops here in Malacca, he brought the Sultan of Malacca back to China, Beijing, to meet the Emperor Zheng He. Back to Beijing. Active life. There's Zheng He meeting with the Sultan here, back in China. Emperor Zheng. Send him out to these places. There's a soldier accompanying him. Cool little museum here. Ooh, cool. I love the original things. Replica swords, not real. Oh yes, they brought the. That's right. They brought the emperor. Not brought the emperor. Brought the Sultan. Good example model of one of the 300 treasure ships they took all the way to Africa and Arabia from China. And here and where we were in Kerala, India. They also have a lot of history of him. Treasure fleet. Nice. Artwork. Where I've been before. The Cochin Island of India was frequently visited by Zheng He's fleet. Chinese fishing nets like that are still there. I saw those like 6 months ago. Cool. Yeah, good little museum here for all of Malacca history, but definitely about Zheng He. Oh, look at that. Cool museum to Zheng He here. The eunuch turned Admiral. I can get up close to these. These often contained baijiu, rice wine. Wow, some are really old that they have in here from the Tang Dynasty. They brought them all from all over. Vietnam, Myanmar, Borneo for this museum. About this area, this temple built in 1795. The original Chinese community ever in Malaysia was on top of this hill. 1400s, 1450s. And in the 1650s it was turned into a Chinese cemetery, the largest outside of China. Some of the graves date back to the Ming Dynasty, the 1614, that's how the oldest one was. Which was the Dutch times of Malacca. Still throughout mid to end of 1450. Alright, here's Zheng He, one of my favorite people in Chinese history. Admiral Zheng He, also known as 1371 to 1433. We'll tell part of his story here in this 1795 built temple. Near the Bukit Chinao. Actually, when I was in there, I said it was from the 1400s. From the 1600s, this guy, who was from Xiamen, Fujian, bought it off the Dutch at the time to bury the people from the Chinese community in there. It's a little bit hard to find the oldest ones, but now we found some more information. But yes, Zheng He, 1405, he first came to Malacca. We're going to go to the spot on the river where he first landed. Imagine those massive treasure ships pulling up to the coast here. All the locals are amazed. Alright, this well here next to the Chinese graveyard from the 1400s. So it was a well built for Hong Li Po. So Hong Li Po was the daughter of the Ming Emperor of China. And she was sent here in arranged marriage to marry the Sultan to solidify the relationship of Malacca and the Ming Dynasty. And this was her personal well, which actually where the cemetery is now. Wow, water's still down there. Where the cemetery is now that we're going to look at later is actually where the Sultan and his Chinese princess back over there is where they set up their residence. And the 500 artisans and servants and everything she brought with her, the original Chinese community of Malaysia ever, actually set up shop up there. Later on, the Portuguese demolished it, their residence. But later on, 1600s, Chinese captain got the rights to the land back, and they started the Chinese cemetery there. Memorial to World War II back there. A couple gruesome things in the history of this well. 1511, Johor Malay warriors poisoned the well, killing the Portuguese who were drinking. But, I think looks like Goa, looks like different parts of ancient Portuguese stones. I think the Portuguese reinforced this well, rebuilt it. Yeah, they were poisoned, and then the Dutch poisoned it too in the 1600s. These Acohnese who attacked here, vice versa. Ooh. Poison in the well. But anyways, it was originally a well built for the exclusive use of a Chinese princess for her drinking water in this hot weather. Oh, thank goodness it got a little cloudy. I was sweating already. All right, let's find some more Zheng He stuff and in peace. So the Chinese community for 600 years of Malacca has been buried on this hill up here with these crazy loud birds. It's hard to tell, it's only Chinese writing which ones are the oldest, but some of these come from the times of the Ming Dynasty, Sultan of Malacca. I'll walk around a little more, but let's see. Maybe whole families are buried in this. Who knows? It's Bukit Sina, Chinese graveyard. Some of these tombs looking pretty old. Gotta go back to the Ming Dynasty era. It's on this hill up here. Some of these are crazy old, like 600 years. Some of the earliest people Zheng He dropped off to live here out of the 500 or so first community. The artisans and helpers of the princess that married the Sultan. That's marked the first communities, and then Hokkien and Hakka. More people moved here afterwards. Oh, crazy. This is a traditional shape, Chinese tomb. I think inside there, oh, hello bird. I think inside there's just ashes actually. That is a cool bird. Rest in peace, hundreds of years of tombs. Look, this one's just buried in the ground here. This one looks pretty old. Man, these birds don't like us in here. They're like the guardians of the cemetery. Don't mean to be disrespectful. Yeah, some of them you can see the cement, maybe not so old, but some of them look a little white, but some look pretty old. Interesting. Cool one, the red. Alright, let's walk around a little more. Maybe the oldest ones are on the top, who knows? Nice, actually, nice little nature walk. largest Chinese cemetery in the world outside of China. And yeah, so 15,000 people are buried here or something. It's a little bit creepy. Well, I'm always in graveyards on the side. I wish there was some signage or something that showed the oldest ones. But yeah, kind of cool. You can see them on the hill over there. 1400s. Something called the Sultan's Well. I'm looking for that. 1459. All right. Walking amongst the dead here. Rest in peace. Yeah, Chinese culture looks at death in an interesting way, though. Very different than the West. Different kind of thing for them. I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert and know what people think, but they clear. Wow, there was a crazy yellow bird over there. They clear the graves and tomb sweeping festival every year and clean them up. They leave like, you know, drinks and snacks and cigarettes and alcohol sometimes for at the tombs. And like they burn money for their ancestors to use in the afterlife. Imagine traveling all the way from China down here, living out your life in the 1400s. Malacca. Red writing. Modern buildings over there. Tomb, communal ritual tomb. 1873 they erected or fixed this up, I guess. For the top of the hill. Interesting. We were looking area here. Alright, good little exploration. Let's go back down this way. Interesting on the other side of the hill here. Still a bunch of tombs everywhere. Nice shady forested kind of area. This one's a little different. Got a couple lions on the front. And a picture of someone. Must be newer. Alright, well, back to the Ming Dynasty. Looks like we're going out now. Oldest Chinese cemetery outside of China. One a little different too. Some glass bottles, broken beer bottles or something. Oh, that was a little bit of the Zheng He history. Probably put that at the end of the video. But oh, look at that old like little building. Chinese cemetery, Malacca. Ship in the world. Yeah, look at that one. Cool little things outside, and that's it. Looking for here explanation of some different notable tombs. Looks like the oldest one's from 1600s, some from the 1700s. Captain. Yeah, I'm not going back in there, but I wish I would have went here first. Dang it. It's pretty old. Dragon design. Little temple over here near the. This might be the 1400s well back there where the tour is. China came here in 1994. I think the guy that made it just passed away. Crazy. Yes, Zheng He statue. 1795 temple near where the original Chinese community was, because that's where the Sultan lived with his Chinese wife. Near the Chinese cemetery. Oh, there's the well. Alright, a lot of tours from China here and some other places. Henku. From about 1450s and beyond till these days, 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 18 until this day. Large Chinese community, the largest in outside of China. at the time existed here. All right. Side story here, World War II, 1942, Japanese took over Malacca. You know, ever since Japan attacked China, they said Chinese resistance groups formed everywhere, all around the world where Chinese communities lived, and the Japanese were a threat. And Malacca fell in January 1942, and thousands of Chinese lost their lives. They were specifically targeted by the Chinese communities down here. They buried people alive in a well, throwing babies and children into the air and catching them with fixed bayonets. Oh, jeez, very graphic there. But yes, after the war, I guess. After the war, they gathered the remains of all those people and buried them over here. With interesting on the top, the symbol of the Republic of China up there, which was what technically China was officially at the time when they were fighting the Japanese, World War II. Just a little side story next to the Bukit China Hill here. Ooh, World War II was brutal, man. Even down here in Malacca, thousands of people died. Civilians just executed. Crazy. There's an old tomb right there too. The Sina Bukit Cemetery. They got a bunch of Chinese snacks and things. Nice. Look at these old buildings too. Very cool design. Hello, Malacca. Cool. Little snack. Chinese medicine shop. I'm gonna film a motorbike shop. This neighborhoods like this definitely built 1800s. Got the cool architecture up there like that. Cool. Alright, boom. There's one of Malaysia's specialties that Chinese love so much. Durian. Tried it so many times. Maybe I'll try some at some point. Ooh, got these cool shops, little shrines. There's the sun again. Oh man, that Malacca heat. Temple shop there. Oh, communities. Tradition in Malacca still always strong. For 600 years, this is the oldest temple, 1673 built. Let's go check it out. 1673 temple. What's that? 1673 interior Chinese temple. Garbage. Nice. Oldest temple in Malaysia. Nice. Oldest temple in Malaysia, Chinese temple, 673 AD. Good to do the incense, and shout out Zheng He. Everything. Tokong Chongpu. This is something I've never tried before, man. Whoa. Comes with a little soup in Malacca. Gotta find out.